Tonight, the global tech outage now being called one of the worst in history. Tens of thousands of flights canceled or delayed around the world. A new wave of Democratic lawmakers now pressuring President Biden to step aside in the race for president. And what we've just learned about the attempted assassination of former President Trump. First, that global tech outage taking down one major industry after another. Airports across the globe at a standstill. The U.S., Europe, Asia, and Australia. Cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike reporting a glitch in a software update took down institutions at every level. Hospitals, banks, offices, media, and 911 all disrupted. Computer screens glowing with what's called the blue screen of death. How long before everyone is back up and running? Erielle Reshef here in New York. The numbers piling up against President Biden. At least 31 Democratic lawmakers calling on him to withdraw from the race. More than a dozen new members coming forward today. The president issuing his own statement while being treated for COVID at his home in Delaware, insisting he will be back on the campaign trail next week. On the heels of the Republican National Convention, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance will be appearing together for the first time at a rally in the Michigan battleground. Trump delivering a record-long speech accepting the nomination, 92 minutes. After promising a message of unity, Trump quickly changing course. Jonathan Karl in Washington. Chilling new images and a specific new timeline emerging leading up to the attempted assassination of former President Trump. ABC News learning an hour before shots were fired, SWAT snipers and local police spotted the alleged gunman multiple times, calling and texting about his suspicious activity, the rangefinder he was carrying, and his location. Pierre Thomas with new reporting. American journalist Evan Gershkovich convicted of espionage and sentenced to 16 years in a Russian prison. The fast-paced trial lasting only 3 days, the U.S. calling it a sham. News tonight about a deadly listeria outbreak linked to deli meat. And a sneak peek at the giant pandas, now on U.S. soil, ready to make their public debut at the San Diego Zoo.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. It's great to have you with us on this Friday night. I'm Whit Johnson in for David. And we begin with the global chaos after what appears to be the largest cyber meltdown in history. Airlines, hospitals, banks, and countless offices knocked offline. And it was all because of a flawed software update to Microsoft systems made by the cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike. Planes parked at gates at Newark Airport this morning. Across the country, more than 10,000 flights canceled or delayed. Passengers waiting at the airport in Atlanta, one of the most affected areas. Reports of 911 services interrupted. Some hospitals canceling elective surgeries. Disruptions at FedEx, even this Starbucks in Austin. Tonight, CrowdStrike is reassuring the public the outage was not due to a cyber attack, saying they are scrambling to get everyone back online. But the scope of the disruptions, a stark reminder of our dependence on technology and our cyber vulnerabilities nationwide. ABC's Erielle Reshef leads us off at LaGuardia Airport here in New York.
Tonight, computer chaos from coast to coast and around the world. Tens of thousands of flights canceled and delayed after what many are calling the largest global IT outage in history. 911 systems, hospitals, banks, courts, and especially airports practically brought to a standstill.
That screen is not normal.
Information displays at American airports showing that so-called blue screen of death error message. You can see the crowds have swelled here at LaGuardia. They're making announcements, trying to get people onto their flights. Many people frustrated and simply searching for answers about when they may take off.
It's unheard of. It's shocking. I didn't think this could happen, but I guess anything's possible.
Luggage piled high at LAX. Stranded travelers packing airports in Madrid and Dubai. Some airlines resorting to handwritten boarding passes. The massive meltdown happening overnight after CrowdStrike, the world's second largest cybersecurity company, says it issued a routine Microsoft Windows software update, but that update had a bug in it that rendered computers useless. It even affected shipping, causing traffic jams at ports in Newark and in Los Angeles. The Department of Homeland Security reporting delays for patients at hospitals. The outage hit 911 systems in multiple states, officials advising people with emergencies to call their local police or fire department directly. The outage affecting point-of-sale systems at Starbucks and grocery stores. CrowdStrike deploying a fix around 5:30 a.m. Eastern Time. CEO George Kurtz apologizing.
We're deeply sorry for the impact that we've caused to customers, to travelers, to anyone affected by this, including our companies.
But the damage was already done. And while he stressed that this was not conducted by a bad actor, many pointing out that CrowdStrike, a company meant to prevent cyber attacks, essentially created a massive, if unintentional, cyber attack.
The more interconnected we are, when it comes to travel and medical care and emergency services and military, the more vulnerable we are to this type of threat. It is something we should take extremely serious.
Erielle Reshef back with us now from LaGuardia. Quite a scene out there today, Erielle. So what's the latest from CrowdStrike on how long this could last?
Well, as you can see, it's pretty empty here at LaGuardia, as it seems that people have heeded the airline's guidance to stay home, check flights before heading to the airport. As for CrowdStrike, the CEO saying it could be some time before some systems are fully back online. And in the meantime, the company is warning that malicious actors could take advantage of this situation. So they're urging their customers to stay vigilant. Whit?
Another major concern in all of this. Erielle, thank you. Next tonight, new calls for President Biden to end his bid for re-election. At least 31 members of Congress now asking him to step aside, more than a dozen just today. But the president remains publicly defiant, vowing to return to the campaign trail next week. While behind the scenes, sources say he is receptive to discussions about his future in the race. ABC's Selina Wang in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware tonight.
On a day when more than a dozen additional Democrats in Congress called on him to drop out of the race, tonight President Biden announcing, "I look forward to getting back on the campaign trail next week." The White House doctor saying Biden's COVID symptoms have improved meaningfully.
Absolutely, the president's in this race. You've heard him say that time and time again.
The president's defiance only fueling anxiety within his own party. Sources tell us Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi have all told Biden he'll lose to Trump and drag down Democrats in Congress. They haven't said so publicly, at least not yet.
Right now, we've got the Biden-Harris ticket, and that's a ticket that we're going to support.
Sources say Pelosi privately told worried colleagues that pressure could push Biden to drop out soon. And today, 11 House Democrats calling on Biden to quit the race, including Zoe Lofgren of California, a close Pelosi ally who served on the January 6th committee. In a letter to the president, Lofgren blunt, writing, "Simply put, your candidacy is on a trajectory to lose the White House and potentially impact crucial House and Senate races down ballot. Our country will pay a dreadful price." And tonight, Congressman Seth Moulton of Massachusetts describing a diminished Biden. In a Boston Globe op-ed, Moulton calling the president a mentor and a friend, someone he's had meals with and phone calls, but Moulton writing that when he saw Biden last month, for the first time, he didn't seem to recognize me. One of the president's closest Senate allies, Chris Coons of Delaware, says Biden is listening.
I am confident he is hearing what he needs to hear.
And sources tell ABC News Biden is now open to discussions about whether to drop out. And this comes as fundraising is drying up. Today, the vice president joining a call with some of the campaign's biggest donors. But I'm told this did not go well. A source on the call tells me that some of the donors were furious because they want President Biden to drop out of this race and feel like they did not get a chance to share their views. Whit.
All right, Selina Wang for us tonight. Thank you. And former President Trump hits the campaign trail tomorrow for the first time with his vice presidential pick, J.D. Vance. It follows his acceptance speech at last night's Republican National Convention at 92 minutes, the longest in U.S. political history. Trump had said his close brush with an assassin's bullet had changed him, but halfway through the speech, he changed course. Here's ABC's chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl.
After a convention that celebrated all things Trump, the former president is preparing to hit the road with his newly minted running mate, J.D. Vance. Their first stop, the key state of Michigan. The former president had told me that Saturday's assassination attempt had changed him, that his convention speech would be a unifying one. For the first 20 minutes or so, it seemed that way.
I'm not supposed to be here tonight. Not supposed to be here.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Thank you. But I'm not. And I'll tell you, I stand before you in this arena only by the grace of Almighty God.
The campaign told us that Trump wouldn't even mention Joe Biden's name. But Trump strayed dramatically from his prepared speech, mentioning Biden and slamming his political opponents.
If you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of the United States, think of it, the 10 worst, added them up, they will not have done the damage that Biden has done. Only going to use the term once. Biden. I'm not going to use the name anymore, just one time. The damage that he's done to this country is unthinkable. It's unthinkable.
The final night of the convention, a macho display of Trumpism. Hulk Hogan.
Let Trumpomania run wild, brother.
It also featured harsh anti-immigrant rhetoric and extreme policy proposals, including calling for a massive military-aided effort to deport millions of people. And my colleague Martha Raddatz has learned that former President Trump had a call today with Ukrainian President Zelensky. It was Zelensky who initiated the call. It lasted about 15 or 20 minutes, and a source close to the Ukrainian president described the call as, quote, warm and respectful. Whit?
John Carl for us tonight. Thank you. Turning now to the assassination attempt of former President Trump. Chilling new images tonight taken by local police snipers show Thomas Crooks was on their radar an hour before the shooting, and officers may have been able to stop him 6 minutes before he opened fire. Here's ABC's Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas.
These are the new images law enforcement took that helped set off a search for Thomas Matthew Crooks, less than an hour before he tried to assassinate Donald Trump. Local police snipers taking the pictures at 5:14 p.m. Saturday, 58 minutes before Crooks opened fire. In this image, you see him with his cell phone. 14 minutes later at 5:28, police taking this picture of what authorities believe is Crooks's bike. With it, a backpack and duffel bag. 5:32, a sniper spotting Crooks looking at news feeds on his phone, noticing he had a rangefinder, a device used to determine distances to targets. That sniper flagging the suspicious activity in a group text, receiving a response to call into command. At 5:41, that sniper sending out a description of Crooks, lurking around the building. Around 6 p.m., 20 minutes later, local police asking where the suspect was headed. At 6:05, Crooks was then spotted near picnic tables carrying a backpack. Then at 6:06, the sniper who first noticed Crooks leaving his position, meeting patrol officers, telling them the suspect was near the building.
He's got a gun!
6 minutes later, at 6:12, shots fired. What's still not clear tonight is whether local authorities alerted the Secret Service commanders on site. After Crooks was killed, police finding his cell phone and a gray transmitter near his body, which authorities say Crooks intended to use to remotely set off explosives in his car. Sources say Crooks had information on his devices about Michigan school shooter Ethan Crumbley and his parents, as well as information about how to make bombs. Crooks also had images of former President Trump, President Biden, as well as Attorney General Garland and FBI Director Wray. Authorities finding evidence the killer actively searched the date of Trump's rally in Butler. And today, a somber service just 10 miles away from the site of the rally for Fire Chief Corey Comparatore, shot and killed Saturday. Thousands paying tribute to the beloved veteran, husband, and father. So many grieving today for the man who lost his life. And sources telling ABC News Crooks may have come to the site of the rally on July 7th, 6 days before the shooting. Whit?
And still so many questions about the true motive in this case. All right, Pierre Thomas, thank you. Now to Russia, where Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich has been convicted of espionage. His 3-day trial held behind closed doors. His sentence, 16 years in a maximum security prison. The U.S. considers the charges and the trial a sham. But tonight, the one ray of hope, the verdict could open the door to a prisoner swap. Here's ABC's foreign correspondent, James Longman.
Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich today sentenced to 16 years in a Russian penal colony for what the U.S. government calls fabricated charges of espionage. The 32-year-old, who denies any wrongdoing, appearing calm. Then, a brave moment of protest. Someone shouting, "Evan, we love you," as he turned around to wave and quickly left the courtroom. In a statement, the Wall Street Journal saying Evan has spent 478 days in prison, wrongfully detained, away from his family and friends, prevented from reporting, all for doing his job as a journalist.
This is a sham trial, sham proceedings, sham charges.
Evan was on assignment when he was detained and accused of passing information to the CIA. He's the first American journalist arrested for spying in Russia since the Cold War. The Russians offered no public proof, instead holding a secret trial over just 3 days. The speedy proceedings could pave the way for a prisoner swap. Russian officials said such a deal would only come after a verdict. Tonight, the White House says the president is laser-focused on securing Evan's release.
This is something the president will not rest until we get him home.
And President Biden said today there is no greater priority than the return of Evan, of Paul Whelan, and of other Americans who've been wrongfully detained. Evan has 2 weeks to appeal. After that, he will be sent to that maximum security penal colony.
And we know that work continues behind the scenes. James Longman, thank you. When we come back, a beloved postal worker shot and killed while making her rounds in Chicago. The manhunt now and the huge reward being offered. The CDC warning about a deadly listeria outbreak and America's newest giant pandas ready to meet the public. Tonight, the urgent manhunt underway for the suspect who shot and killed a beloved postal worker on the south side of Chicago. Authorities say the letter carrier was gunned down in front of a home. The suspect firing several rounds, then driving away. Neighbors devastated, describing her as a mother to the neighborhood. Postal inspectors now offering a reward of up to $250,000. The CDC warning about a deadly listeria outbreak linked to deli meat. The outbreak sickening more than 24 people in at least 12 states. All the patients were hospitalized. 2 patients died, one in Illinois, one in New Jersey. Most of the cases located in New York and Maryland. When we come back, tracking severe storms across several states, heavy rain and flash flooding. And we're tracking severe storms across several states tonight, along with heavy rain and flash flooding from Texas to the Carolinas. Winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour, knocking out power to thousands of customers in North Carolina. And the new heat wave in the west, triple-digit temperatures from Spokane to Phoenix. When we come back, a sneak peek at America's newest giant pandas. Finally tonight, America's new giant pandas get ready to go public.
Tonight, a spectacular sight not seen in more than 2 decades. New pandas coming to America. We're getting our first look at the newest residents of the San Diego Zoo. These 2 giant pandas now in their new home. The first to arrive from China in 21 years. That's 3-year-old Xin Bao. The zoo saying she's best recognized by her large, round face and big, fluffy ears. Walking around on the grass, climbing up on the wood, acclimating herself to her newly renovated space. And this is Yun Xuan, almost 5 years old, identifiable by his long, pointy nose, chewing on the bamboo, then sitting with his back to us. The 2 on loan from China. They arrived late last month and will make their official public debut on August 8th. But tonight, this sneak peek with the 2 of them in the zoo's renovated Panda Ridge habitat, taking us inside for the first time, up the walking trail, the places to stop along the way, the enclosure overlooking an incredible open view of the pandas. And tonight, the San Diego Zoo saying their personalities are already shining through. Caretakers say Xin Bao is naturally playful, very active, alert, witty, and an excellent climber. And Yun Xuan, he likes sleeping in and is mild-mannered toward others, always letting other pandas go first. Tonight, their teams at the San Diego Zoo tracking their weight, their appetite, their health to make sure they thrive here in America and are ready for their big debut next month.
It is truly a moment where I get to pinch myself and think that I get to be a part of an organization that gets to do this, be able to have such an impact on such a remarkable species as pandas. It's just a very special moment.
Special moment and welcome home. I'm Whit Johnson in New York. Have a great night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir America's most watched newscast.